This is an Ash White podcast coming to you from the Milne Road Studios, Redwood Park in Adelaide, Australia. Yeah. Hello, Ash Norton.
Hello, Ash White.
How are you, man?
I'm fantastic. I've been looking forward to this all week.
It has taken us a while to get here, but how fantastic that we're here now.
It has. I think it's taken us 25 years
Yeah, for 2.5 decades, wasn't it?
to sit down out of work. I was telling my wife that. I said, I've known Ash for, I reckon, 25 years, and it's taken, like, we've just had this sort of rapport over all that time, but haven't actually sat down and said g'day outside of work.
G'day, Ash Norton.
G'day.
It is good. It is humbling now, like, you know, the water under the bridge that we've all been through with work and life and all the rest of it. And here you are now in the moment. It couldn't be better.
No. I think it's... I was thinking when I was talking about you, and I was saying that, like, the thing is that I have with you is respect. And I feel it's mutual.
Of course it is.
And I feel that takes time. Respect doesn't happen in a week or a month or 5 years. It's like, it takes time, and it's like, okay, well, this isn't going away. It's only going to, you know what I mean? And there's not many I can say that I've got that with. But so that's what I feel like, that I've got that. So thank you.
Thank you. I think it's as you said, it's a two-way street. I think the beauty of what we do collectively is that we go out every day and we do, especially the work I'm doing, as you know, I get 3 or 4 different workplaces every day. You're a little bit more, as a builder, held down to an area or areas. You might have 3 or 4, 5, 6, whatever contracts on the go at one time. Whereas every day I get to meet people like you, and every now and then you stumble across one you really like and you really get on well with. And those relationships last a long, long time. And you know that from the beginning. You know, I remember back in the Peter Eden days, and I remember back all those years ago when I first met you, and it already had bounce off it. It was already friendly. It was already receiving.
Yeah, it was fun.
And here we are 25 years on, and nothing's changed, but we now get a bit of time out Friday night to talk about it.
It's fantastic.
And what a great concept to do it.
This is awesome. I love podcasts, and when you were doing podcasts, it was like, wow, that's so good.
Well, welcome to this little one. It's not a big area, but
Thank you. It's fantastic. It looks great.
Acoustically, it's very good.
Yeah.
And, we can talk some stuff here for a while.
Yeah, ready to go.
Ready to go? You're born in Adelaide?
Born in Woodside.
What year was that? Now, I did some sums on this. I was trying to work back the other night. I reckon I got you born somewhere either 63 or 64.
63 in Woodside.
All right, I got that.
October of 63, Woodside for the first 5 years, and then Dad was a builder / carpenter, and he was doing a lot of work in the city. So he would drive up and back every day. So when I was 5, they made a decision to move to Mitchell Park. So we moved from Woodside to Mitchell Park when I was in grade 1.
Was that based on his work, or?
Yeah, just based predominantly on his work. Yeah, a lot of his work was down here.
Was he doing more commercial, or?
No, he was doing mainly wall frames. Actually, yeah, he was doing mainly wall frames and roofs. He had a business partner, EN Constructions. He was doing... am I allowed to say what builders he was working for?
Sure. Are they still going?
It doesn't matter. He was doing a lot for Cavendale, Sterling Homes, these type of builders, and he was doing wall frames and roofs. And it was just the travel back and forwards. He felt like if he was here, he could make more money. So
yeah, well, there's another 2 hours of work and he could have done.
That's right. He used to work
hard.
There's
another $100, yeah.
He was a hard boss because he became my boss when we're skipping 10 years, but you know, he became my boss when I was 15, and he taught me how to work hard. Yeah.
Good work ethic.
He had a really good work ethic. He was more organised than I've ever been.
Was he your size? Roughly,
Yeah, roughly my size. He could build a wall frame and roof on his own. Nowadays, there's a team of guys that can do what he used to do on his own. And then at 15, he took me on and taught me how to work hard. It was really hard in the beginning.
Isn't it a great way to learn when you come home and your hands are sore?
Yeah.
You're tired. You've worked your whole 8 hours and you've got your $13.49 back per hour.
I remember $88 a week was my first pay packet.
And you survived on that, didn't you?
I
you
did.
probably paid a car off.
I did have a car at 16. I paid my car off at 16.
You left school when you were 15, didn't you?
Yeah, 15, the day after my birthday.
So you did an apprenticeship?
Yeah, I did an apprenticeship with Dad. I tried to get a job as a fitter and turner, but I never got the apprenticeship, and he said he didn't really want me to follow his footsteps, I don't think, but I said I'd give it a go, and we were a really good team. We were a good team. He was like the brains, and I was the brawn. Like, I would do all the nailing and I would run basically the whole day to keep up with him. He'd be feeding me timber, and I'd be nailing, and we'd be just running. You know,
you're a good size for it, though. Like,
I'm a good jockey,
especially on the roof. You know, like running around there, you wouldn't want me up there. You know, like
I know.
If I didn't get my foot down on the plate properly, then I'd probably take quite a few rafters out. But
no, he was an amazing dad in what he taught me. He taught me so much. We used to have so many running jokes about work. Like, we would start work at 7 o'clock every day of the week, right? And it didn't matter where we were working. And we worked a lot at Port Pirie in those days. And we'd do all the country jobs. And so if we would be leaving at 4 or 3 or whatever it took to start at 7, we would leave home. So that's a good work ethic.
Yeah, I remember I started in the motor game. I started with motor traders in the city. I used to ride around on a bike and spare parts and whatever around to Southcots, and I think we were on Halifax Street back then. They're all gone now. They're all shut down. And I started there, and then I had an older brother working for Clarkson's down at Royal Park. They're gone, but they were doing all the high rise in the city back then. So he was in the store, and he said, "Look, I've just picked up a drafting job," because they were still doing detailing back then across the road. So he said, "Hey, you'll get in where I am because I've left pretty good door open for you." Walked in, Rex Clayson says, "I just got to go out of the room for a minute," and he'd rung the labour hire up and said, "Get rid of it, bring Ash in, we know, straight down the medical centre and you're back."
That's it.
Working straight away. So that would have been 1986, I assume, somewhere around there. I left school in 85. I did 5 years there. I did design, matric, and art. They were the only two. The rest of them I didn't do too well in. But I did matriculate in design. I did get that done. Dad was a design draftsman, so it was pretty easy to write nice, and I'm always critical of people that have got messy writing.
Yeah.
So, but that was, once again, we did the high rides in the city. That took us until 1986 to say 91 when the Maya Centre, that was the last building we did there. Seen the clock tower up the top there? That's glass.
Is it?
Yeah. So, a 365-degree circle cut into 3 bits, and, you still got your arms going around that are metal.
Yeah.
But next time you drive past there again, you'll go,
I'll notice.
"Oh, Ash has done that," Or the boys, the whole, everybody. There wasn't just me up there. But and then Chop, 91, came down to 91, bang, you're out. Closing it down, there's a big war coming and there's no money being spent on high rises. You're on your own. Boom, out the door. God, really? So I picked up a day later with a local mob out at Salisbury there, manufacturing gear, and they were glazing as well. So I only had 1 day off. Started straight down there, and there was overtime. There was everything, The worst thing was the Salvation Jane each side on the paddocks. I never had hay fever, but I got it after working there. But that small business teaches you very good ethic. You can't hide because you're the one either cutting the aluminium or putting it together.
Yeah.
So you really got to, you wear it on your sleeve because you got to be accountable all the time. You can't hide in a little business with 6 people in it. And you work your butt off for your $88.36, whatever it was.
$88 a week.
But
That was it.
Yeah. So
That was my start. That was my start.
But that's, you got to start there, and that's, I think if people do go through that small business even for a few years, you do appreciate once you get into bigger business just how much you do for your money.
Yeah.
As you get into bigger business, there's a lot more places to hide, and there's a lot of extra avenues to cover that error. Whereas you do a little muck up in a small business, you make that cut 100 mil short all the time. Your dad's going to kick you in the butt and say, "Go and get your eyes checked, mate."
No.
Everyone's going to do the 100
you're taking
mil.
me back to with my dad. I quit that many times. It was because he was just hard, and I had ideas. Like, I was 15 and fresh. This is how, like, let's go, Dad. I want to try it this way. I want to try it that way. And I felt every way that I tried to implement my fresh ideas was a block, because he tried it that way and he'd already found the best way. It was only and so I gave up. I probably fought him for a couple of years trying to do it my way. And
You're not meant to work with your family, you know that, don't you?
I gave up. I gave up trying to implement any new ideas and just went with what he was implementing. He always used to tell the story. And it was actually many years later, when we had a chat, and he said, I probably should have slowed down and just let you, get it wrong and realize you were wrong, rather than me cut you off saying, no, I know how to do it right. So that's where we butt heads, But because he was my biggest supporter in life, I suppose, we worked together, and then he was my sponsor in the Speedway at 15 when I started in the junior Speedway. So we were sort of working side by side. So it's sort of, I was always with my dad, We were working together, and we would work, and the money that we earned would help pay for the Speedway.
Yep.
And we would do Saturday jobs, and that would help pay for the Speedway, because the Speedway was expensive.
I think one thing you said too, also, that I just picked up on, was that he even allowed knowing the answer, that it already given you a length of string to cut or do something, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So he's given you a little bit of rope there to sort of hang yourself, to teach you in a controlled way. Like, I'm sure if it was a 6 metre length of Merbow that was 120 by 120, he wouldn't have given you the same choice.
That's right. I mean, luckily we were doing wall frames and roofs, so there wasn't that many mistakes you can make with a bit of 90 by 35. You can always cut another piece. But yeah, it was tough. It was a good upbringing. He taught me how to work, and he always used to say that, and I am grateful for that. I never liked working, but he taught me how to work. I don't think I've really liked working ever. I do it. But as far as actually going to work all the time working, it's never been a thing that I've really enjoyed. And that's what took me overseas for the Speedway. I mean, that was part of it. When I got the opportunity to go overseas, it was like living a dream to start on that adventure.
And that was in the UK?
Yeah, that was in the UK. That was...
was it in London, or was it out?
It was up north in... It was up north. I raced in Middlesbrough, but I was staying in a place called Brighouse, which is a bit lower than Leeds, higher up than Manchester. So I went there when I was 18. I turned 18. I turned 18 in October, and I went there in March of the following year. So I was, I always knew that I could work. But I wasn't just working for the sake of working, which I think I would have gone mental. I was riding Speedway, and there was a purpose that I wanted to go to England. So it made it bearable.
How many races did you do Always happens. I didn't put it on plane mode, did I? At least it's only the big boss.
Okay.
Did you work during the week and just Speedway on the weekends, or was it always?
In Australia, it was work during the week and Speedway on weekends.
In the UK?
In the UK, I went there with the idea of being a professional Speedway rider. Didn't have enough money, so I either...
Was it difficult trying to get enough money to...
It was tough. First, it was never easy for me because I was never brilliant at it. But in the beginning, it was difficult because I had a certain amount of money. And to start with, I had to try and get in a team. And it took me a while in the first year to get in a team as a young Aussie. You know, I'd went to England and I wasn't really... I don't think I was good enough.
You were close.
I was...
You were good enough really to be there.
I was good enough to be in a second division team at the lower end of the second division. So I was good enough to be in a team. But it wasn't much. Didn't make a lot of money. So Dad would work here and send me money over.
Bless his heart.
I know. He would work here.
It's forever though, isn't it? You know, that's...
I know. Just the amount of effort he would have went to. I didn't really appreciate it at the time. I worked as well. Then I started to get jobs. I worked in a tyre factory. But that was fun. I really learnt about tyre... actual tyre factory, changing tyres and punches and everything. And then I had to work. I didn't have to work, but then I worked in I've just remembered this now. I'd forgotten about it. I used to deliver hearses and limousines for a limousine company. So I would drive all over the country in England. I would deliver a hearse or a limousine and then catch the train back, or I'd catch the train there and deliver one back. And that was a lot of fun because sometimes I'd bring it home, you know. I could drive up at home.
You want to lay down in the back and have some fun?
Drive up at home with the hearse in England. But in England it was, the idea was to be a professional Speedway rider and technically live my dream. But yeah, it took a few years before I could sort of break even.
Did you have to come back home in the off season?
Yeah, well, October, come home till March, and then go back in March to October. Miss winter in England, miss winter in Australia, miss winter in England.
That's probably a good thing. Mandy hates the cold. I could just live in Whistler forever, you know. Like I love the...
I don't mind the cold.
Love the mountains and the cold, but I struggle with the heat. Always have.
Yeah. So that was it for a while. I mean, we're going fast, but...
You went 4 to 5 years back and fro from UK?
Yeah, I thought it was 6, but I looked it up.
Could have been.
I looked it up on the internet before. I looked up. I googled I googled how many years was I in England, and I looked at it, and I ended up 5 full years, with a couple of breaks in between. I didn't go back a couple of times, but then it was 5 all up.
What was the best result in the UK series? Oh, explain what you were doing. Speedway motorbikes.
Speedway racing, dirt track. Which is, I don't know, not everyone knows what it is, but it's basically a Speedway engine, 500cc engine. It doesn't have any brakes for safety reasons, and you basically spend 4 laps going flat out trying to win the race. And that takes usually a minute, anywhere around a minute, depending on the size of the track. And you usually get between 2 and 5 to 6 rides a night, depending on how you're going. That's the nature of it, because your team's racing. I was racing for Middlesbrough, and we were racing against, say, Newcastle.
Okay, righto.
And if you're going, shit, you can get pulled out, you have to do 2 rides minimum. So if I'm riding at number 6, say, and I come last, then I have my next ride, and I come last, and the team's losing, well, more than likely... The
goddamn Aussies got to go home.
More than likely, the team manager will try and do a tactical substitute, pull you out, and he can as long as as long as our team is 6 points behind, he can put anybody in my spot. He could put the number 1 in.
Everybody has a bad day. Did you have many bad days or just...
A lot of bad days.
Yeah.
Had a lot of bad days. My nickname in England was Crashly. I fell off 6 times one night at Middlesbrough. Oh my God. We were going to Edinburgh the next night and I spent hours in the bath that night trying to just walk properly.
Were you ever thrown from the bike very badly?
Yeah, plenty of times. I used to joke when I gave up Speedway that I just got sick of hospital food.
What was the terminal speeds that you'd hit?
That's a good question.
Probably
100
yeah.
Ks.
Because you're sideways
On a
aren't
small
you?
track, I think it was 100 in Adelaide on the mile because I raced at Morgan. I think that was 160 Ks an hour.
The ton.
Yeah,
That's pretty quick, eh? Pretty quick.
That was quick. But in England, most of the tracks were smaller. We raced in teams, and it took a few years to actually get going. I had some good meetings in England. I only ever scored one full maximum, which is like you go through the card with 5 rides and you win every one. I only had one maximum, which was like that was a highlight.
So you got a podium on that night?
No, not a podium. That was within the team structure of the team.
Okay.
And I went home and I said to my wife at the time, I said,
I did good.
no, I didn't. I said, this, it just feels so surreal because it just was easy. Like I'd borrowed an engine. It wasn't my engine. I'd borrowed an engine. I'd put the engine in my bike. I wasn't sure how it was going to go. And I just felt like everything was in slow motion and I won so easily that I was like, God, it doesn't feel like it's fun anymore. Because I felt like most of my Speedway life was about struggle, striving, trying to get there. And then I was there and it was like, oh.
Was it the motor and mechanics come together at the same time to create the wins?
Just the engine.
So it was pure that motor was better and you could control it around the
it was just
circle.
perfectly set up for me and everything clicked on the night. I tried to buy the engine off him, but he wouldn't sell it to me. So then I went back to my old bike and tried to recreate it, and I never actually had another maximum again in England. But I had some good meetings in England. I had some wonderful fans.
What was different about that engine? Was it bored out? Was it a bigger engine? Or?
No, it was the same. It's just how it was set up, whether it was different timing, how it was set up, different compression. Like there's so many variables.
Certainly had a bit of ping in it though.
It was good. It was perfect off the start. It was easy.
Are you adrenaline junkie? Do you look for it?
Yeah, definitely.
Wow, you get on well with Mandy, mate. You've been jumping out of things. We went to New Zealand just a few months ago, and luckily for me, the tower swing wasn't there because I'm not into bungee anyway. And she said, I really want to do this tower swing. I said, all right, no worries. So we get over there, and luckily there was a landslide, as it's all volcanic. So you get a lot of growth that just sits on to the rock.
Yeah.
Because all the mountains just get pushed up out of the ground, but they're still volcanic, so nothing grows on it.
Yeah.
It's like a weed that grows around, and then you start to get stuff on, and then after a while it probably gets that wet from the winter and whatever that you get these breakaways. And they spend a lot of money on roads over there because it's so wet. It's so wet. You know, if you're 25 metres of rain a year, what do we hear? 575 mils of rain a year here.
That'd be like England, wouldn't it?
Probably.
Similar.
North Queensland, wet. And, you know how much water they get in North Queensland. And they got the Tully, there's a big water outlet that goes out to sea. Starts with a B. My brother-in-law Michael's mum and dad used to live up there. Burdekin, I think it is. And that used to run a mile wide, and that would run 8-10 metres deep, and that just will go out to sea. It's just fresh water. And then by the time we get down to Goolwa, we got no water.
Nothing. It's a trickle.
So, in the bad years when the rain's bad, and looking at this year and now looking at the chain of ponds at the minute. Have you been up there?
No. Nothing.
They stopped pumping. Well, don't forget last year we had excess water with the floods, and they kept pumping. You look at Hope Valley's got a bit in, but Hope Valley's dropped. You got a chain of ponds, and that's way down. If you go to Williamstown and go to the Kersbrook side, you can see the old bridge that's exposed. So and what are we now? We're nearly June and haven't had any rain.
Rained. Yes.
And I'm not sure how much is on the the forecast.
It'll come.
If you build it, they'll come.
It'll come. My lawn's waiting. It's been waiting for months.
And how's all your building projects going? You got a few on the go?
We do. Well, I have one.
You got a big one at the minute?
Because I've only got, at the moment, like, we're developing and building 7 townhouses on Marion Road. So that's the one project we've got. I feel like all of my working life has brought me to the last
this time.
Yeah, last 3 or 4 years preparing to do something bigger, of a bigger scale.
It's a very large project. When I saw your name there, I went, ooh, man, that's got some volume in it.
It has.
And then by the time I looked at it, I thought, oh my God, he's got big doors in there as well. I might get to see the old bugger, I'm thinking, all right, I better give Ash a call and find out what's going on. And, we get down there and the frames are perfect. It's wonderful and it's amazing. I really look after 40 Ashes in the industry as such. Mm-hmm. It is very much pyramid. It starts good at the top and it does get pretty poor as it gets to the bottom. Yeah. You're not anywhere near there. You're up near the top. But the beauty is, if the majority is square, plumb and level, to put the doors in, and even for the poor guys that have to go back and do the fly doors.
Yeah.
It's the fly doors that fail, which is the cheapest part of the build.
I know.
And, you got to cut 8 mil off one side of the fly door to get the frickin' fly door in, and you think, oh, my God, how can it be so hard? But, it's a big door system. They're now grafting aluminium. So let's say the lengths are normally 6.6 metres. We're now 6.6, cut off 100 mil each end, and then we'll graft another 1,200 either side. So you can go out 8 metres or whatever, 8.8 or whatever now.
That's huge.
That they graft where the fixed panel is, so that you don't you don't get the railway track of the doors running over the pip where it's being cut.
Oh yeah.
So even as generically beautiful the mould is, you still get that.
Okay.
So and they're big frames. The Capital 900 series. That's 250 wide. That's 50 mil thick. By 8 metres, by 3 metres high.
That's huge.
Pretty big for 2 guys.
Yeah, unrealistic.
But, no, I think, look, we've done lots of work. You guys used to do a lot of cedar back in time. And
yeah, we did.
Used to pull out old doors and windows everywhere, and we'd come in and...
Well, we did. That was on
did a lot of
previous business. We were renovations. We did...
a lot of work. Pure Envy?
Pure Envy renovations. We did many years of large-scale renovations and additions. And
just going back to Marion Road for a sec. How's that one looking? Where are you at now? Linings?
We are in various stages of. We've lined 6 with the plasterboard. We've just finished painting the outside. We're ready to drop the scaffold next Wednesday. So next week's a big week. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, scaffold out. Once we get the scaffold out, then we can start thinking about the outside downstairs and continuing on the inside. So we've got an end date of end of July. So we're going to push hard
this year.
You got to have a date. If you don't have a goal, it can take forever. So we're pushing for that date.
Look, tip my hat to you. That's a big project. It's a big project, and you're on a main road, which I know the logistics with trying to get things backed in and bins and everything else to try to get picked up, and even to get the doors delivered there. to your credit, you've kept that driveway nice and clear. You put rubble down. You know, we get so many builders that don't put a bit of rubble down.
I know.
And then they go, oh, the frickin' dirt in the building is very dirty. And you think, well, of course the guy's boots are going to pick up all the... And like you look in Adelaide with the clay, the Bay of Biscay that we have lined right through here, it's as tacky as all hell. It's terrible stuff.
Well, ours was down there. Like, we got whacked one day with rain. Like I was saying, we'll get some rubble down before winter. And then we had this massive downpour over summer, and the place was a bog. It was
horrible.
A disaster.
It is.
And then that was it. It's like, okay, bring the rubble in.
Get the 75 mil stuff.
Get the rubble in. We've had no problem since. It's been a very good building site. It can take a lot of rain.
Isn't it gorgeous too that you can order certain size metals? You know.
I know.
You think back in all the wartime, when you probably didn't have quite enough stone to put in the concrete. We'll just throw a bit more cement in with the sound. We haven't got any more cement, you know. We're going to have to throw something in there. We'll have to throw some sort of metal wag in there to try to gauze it all up. But
times have changed.
Now you can buy anything. Dad, even when Dad was alive, he always banged on about how easy it was for our age group to get stainless steel washers, screws, whatever, which, you know, back in their day, he was born 1940, so he would have been, say, 40, 58 onwards when he was old enough to do whatever, that most of it was probably only Galv at best.
Yeah.
And look at us, we can buy stainless steel magazines of anything. You know, you don't have to second guess anymore. No. You know, if I was, I'd toughen every bit of glass I could, get rid of the safety. I'd get rid of laminate. I wouldn't get rid of laminated, but I'd do as much toughen as I could and get the float out of it. Just your nil glass, you know, your 3 mil, 4 mil. Just upscale it to
that 3 mil. I don't know.
Terrible.
It's terrible glass.
Even your low lights anywhere, it's a minimum of 5 mil float.
Yeah.
Just put 4 mil toughen in there. Go down one.
Same thing. Get
the weight out and toughen it. There's a toughening charge on everything. But material handling, you don't have to worry about cutting yourself. If you hit it on the floor or you bang it against the frame, it just explodes. So, you know, if you've got the right PPE gear on and all the rest of it, it's not a very high risk. But as soon as you get a bit of float and it's 6 mil, even 8 mil, and it's above your head, it's a different world. And that's, you know, your hands become sweaty and, you know what I mean? Like, we do a lot of toughen these days, and you do forget that it's glass.
Yeah.
So you probably are a little bit lackluster on it.
Yeah.
You bend it a bit. It talks to you.
Yeah.
Glass does talk to you.
Yeah, you can.
You know when it's not happy to.
Yeah, it'll tell you.
It'll start talking, and you know how much you can push it. But you know the rule was if you break it and go through, you don't come back. You stay in there.
Is it?
And then try to get the glass broken around you.
Okay.
If you come back, you'd come back that way.
Nasty.
But electricity's a different one.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy at the front down at Summerton Park yesterday. He was changing the fuses on the Stobie poles, and I said, "Oh, what do you got up there?" And he said, they're only 200 amps each. You only got 600 amps up there. That's low power.
Yeah.
It'll kill you, but it won't fry you. You know, there'll be something left of me. And I said, "What are they?" I can't even remember what the fuse was in size, but he said, "No, these are only small ones. We don't have to worry about it." It's when you got the overhead ones again. We got the 3 cables up the top. They're carrying, I think he said 11,000 each, or 11,000. He said, "I don't go near them." No. They wear bomb suits when they do those things.
Yeah.
But that's scary. You can't hear it. You can when it rains. You know, you drive past all the. There must be some sort of discharge. Stay away from that. Scary stuff.
No, don't touch electrical.
No, but you would come across it. Being a builder, you were involved in it somewhere, and you know you gotta be vigilant, don't you?
You You got to be careful of that stuff. No, we keep away from electrical. Leave that to the people that know what they're doing.
Mm. So you're going to try to wind that one up by the end of the tax year?
We're going to try by the end of July. So,
do you have a little break after that?
We will have a break. Yes, we need to finish this one so we can fund the next one.
You'll go again?
We'll go again. Yes, we'll go again.
How exciting.
I am a bit excited. It's funny. I'm looking forward for a break on this one, and I'm excited about the next one. It doesn't make any sense.
When did you pour the slab on this one? Did you do all the slabs in one hit?
No, we did 3 on one side, which we had 10 altogether to build. We finished the 3 just after Christmas, say. I don't know, I'm having a mental blank when we poured these. I think they've been going about 6 months, 7 months. Not long for 7 townhouses. No, we're ahead of a lot of people that are standing around doing nothing.
Good having good trade, though, isn't it?
I think.
And you know the trade. That's the key to it.
I think we can. I don't think we've got any financial problems as far as ordering and paying for. Like, I see a lot of jobs around Adelaide. They're stuck. They're stopped. Like, there's one up the road from us that hasn't changed, and we've finished 3 and we're nearly finished 7. So there's a lot of people hurting out there in Adelaide.
Cash flow, is it?
Cash flow, I think. I think it's cash flow. I don't really know what it is, but I think there's a degree of cash flow, whether they've sold it to a client and now they can't afford to build it, so they're going slow.
Or you've borrowed the money off the last sales to try to get it up.
And it's just a matter of time before it ends.
Must be pretty scary. I think it would be like knowing that the ship is going to sink at some stage.
It's awful. I haven't directly been involved in a company that went bankrupt, but I did work for an Adelaide builder that went bankrupt a year after I left. And a year before I left, I knew we were in trouble. So that's why I couldn't go on. I couldn't integrity-wise, I couldn't bring another trade on that I know would probably not get paid. So I basically said to the boss, and he was very distraught. Not a lot of people realise how distraught he was. He was beside himself in trying to know how to get out of this. And I said to him, I'm basically ineffective as a supervisor because I'm not willing to hire anybody. So I might as well go and you might as well do it. That was tough. That was very difficult. I think that was like 1.7 million.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people, a lot of money.
Mm.
A lot of people still would like to find him.
Do you want to just jump back?
Sure.
Just a little bit. Would have been around the Galaxy days, where I would have been the early times I met you, wasn't it?
Yes.
Was with Galaxy, with Peter?
Yeah, Peter Eden.
I remember meeting Peter.
Did you?
Yeah, I did actually meet him.
He was an interesting man.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known him to the same level as you, but you know, back then I was really young. Like I was really young when I met you there, and in the industry anyway, because I'd come from shower screens and wardrobes and that side of it, and then it was really around that time where the mob I was working for had 1 in 10 first-time installs.
All right.
So 99, I'd said to where I was working, I said, how about I go down to the other shop and I'll get all outside glazing set up and I'll start using the same material you are. I'll go and pick up and start glazing for you guys. Yeah. No worries, this is in 99. So we weren't even at where we are now. So I really got in the door there because by the time I think I was, it's going back a little while, but I couldn't wipe my ass at 40. My shoulders had locked up. They'd frozen up so bad. So I thought, I've got to do something. And then I got into bifolds and then they went double glazed. So that didn't sort of work, you know. But 1 in 10. So we'd take out 10 jobs. 1 would go in, we'd take 9 back to the factory. And back then I never used to get paid whether it went in or not. Even if the builder's head sagged 18 mil and I couldn't get the doors to work.
Oh,
I'd have to take...
I can remember those days.
All those, that was bad. And I had Shane with me back then as well. I had the
was-
truck and...
It was not good. Most didn't, like you said, most didn't fit.
So to me, and this where it came from my father, was he said that it doesn't take any longer to do it right. So if you know the answer, and that's why I can't really work for anybody, is that if that fraternity tells me to say no and I know the answer is yes, I can't change my mindset. If I know the answer, I'm not going to lie. That's one thing I'll never do. Here it is.
Yep.
Here's the facts. This is why this happened. Here it is. I don't have to hide behind it. I can sleep at night. I've got no worries at all. But, you know, and this going way back, like 99, 2000 again. And if you run all the Italian builders down Ross Trevor and all through there, we used to have a rep there that was sort of hooked up with them, and there was a lot of give and take. There was a lot of give.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the give was out of us guys, the subbies.
Yeah, you were asked. I know. I can remember back then. You were asked to do things,
and it was hard. I was married with 2 young kids like everybody else.
I can still see a bifold door, or I can see a door going in, and it was just put in place. There was nothing under the bottom sill. By the time you got there, it could have been anywhere. Usually bowed down about 20 or 30 mil.
And bowed up was even worse. Out of square was bad.
Out of plumb. It just, I don't know. We did get like memos how to fit it properly, but I don't think anyone read them properly.
They probably stuck them to the side of the jam, mate, and they got nailed into the stud work.
Well, even now, like I've got 5 upstairs sliding doors that I know they're all slightly bowed down, right?
Down's okay.
But they're not tiled yet. So I'm already aware of it in communication with my tiler that we're going to prop them level before we go too far. But that wasn't really, like back in the Galaxy days, we weren't really thinking about that. It took a long time to actually, and I would imagine now you would come across do you come across so many that are still badly done?
If I put you into the real figures of 90% are still bad.
Oh my God.
And you can imagine now nearly a 60-year-old man that's seen it for nearly 2.5 decades, that if I can do it, why can't somebody else do it? Now, if there's a communication problem from the wholesaler who's selling this product to you and says, hey, Jimbo, I got Ash coming there to fit your doors on Monday. Can you make sure your sills are flat?
Yeah.
Can you make sure your frames are square? And make sure that there's no sags in the head for the fly doors. That is the last product that goes in. And that doesn't get asked. Now, to me, it's still like using a diary. Whether the diary's on your phone or not, it's easy to, if I know your job's coming up, I'll ring you a couple of days beforehand and say, Ash, how's your frames looking? I'll make sure the sills are good for you, no worries at all. All right? We get down there, no problems. But if I don't, and it's not about me, but if I take that component out, which is, this is the real winner one, what we're doing now is talking. An email doesn't talk. An email has no emotion. An email gets missed.
Yeah.
You know, for whatever reason that you don't even read the email, you're not going to look. You know, if it's a week ago, you might as well throw it in the bin because you're not going to read it. And then next day you rock up with the doors, and I get there, and there's a couple of builders that I still fight with every day, and they've been with us forever. And I say, what aren't I communicating? Yeah. I can go to one builder, I can go to a dozen builders where I don't have any problems, but I communicate with all them. Now, as you go further down in the pyramid, you're at sea, man. Yeah. You know, you need water turrets to knock those pirates over because you can't kneel down on the food. Tell you a funny story. They've been recently on about the hygiene of the toilets of the loos.
Yeah. I got asked about that on mine this morning. That's another story.
Excellent, fantastic. So every year around Christmas time, I get onto LinkedIn and I put up a few bitch stories, that I'm frustrated of being in the high end of the industry, and I say, surely we can do this better. Surely we can do this better.
Yeah.
So anyway, I grabbed one of the builders. I grabbed one of these builders and I had a chat with one of the supervisors there, and I took him to the toilet, and he rocked up. He rocked up in a Tesla, right? Can't hear it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is driving a diesel, So anyway, he comes out, and I said, "Hey, mate, come here." And he said, "How can I help you, mate?" And I said, "Open up the toilet here, can you?" So he goes to the porta potty or whatever, toilet, I don't even what do we call them? Kenny's toilets. Portable toilets. So anyway, he opens it up, and there's 3 bricks on top of the pan, right?
Because no one's going to sit on the toilet, are they?
So the waste is now 3 bricks higher than the pan.
That is brilliant.
3 bricks higher than the pan. I said,
oh my God.
What sort of problem is this?
Yeah.
And he says, "What's wrong?" And I said, "What's wrong? What? We need another brick to make it 4? To let this cake just..."
It's maxed out, hasn't it?
Maxed out. It was 3 bricks higher than the pan.
Well, that's the thing today. Ben said to me, "Ash, this toilet's disgusting. Have you been there?" And I said, "What do you mean? I cleaned it yesterday. I can't be disgusting already." But what had happened is there's a certain point where the flap...
Now, stop there. Just stop right there. Now, before you eat something, you have a drink, don't you?
Yeah.
You wet that esophagus so the food can hopefully slide down a bit. If you're just going to throw darts at a bit of glass, it's going to stick, isn't it?
Stick. Well, see, the thing is, I don't want to clean it out too early because I'm going to pay an extra pump out, which is not expensive.
I get it. I get it when it's
I've
full.
got a so what I didn't realise is it's just about maxed out where when the flap goes down, it hits what's in there. It's come back up. So I cleaned it. It looks beautiful now today, but I've organised for it to have a clean out. Otherwise, what's going to happen is it's not nowhere near a brick.
Tongue's going to get stuck.
It's nowhere near a brick, and I've got fresh toilet paper in there. I make sure it's got 2 rolls all the time. So I think my toilet is one of the best toilets around.
That's good.
Except for today.
It was just funny, and I know, and I get a lot of fun because I come home to Mandy and say, "You wouldn't believe this toilet today." As I said before, we went to New Zealand when Mum was still alive. There was a girls' trip. Mandy, my mum Mandy, and my daughter were going to go on a girls' trip to the South Island and do. Anyway, Mum had a stroke and died, so. The tickets and that were still there, so they had to be used. So the whole idea was, well, they're left over, they're paid for. We've got to go and use it. I've just lost my chain of thought. Yeah,
it's all right. Just lost. Do you want me to?
Yeah, keep going.
Something up.
Let it come back to me.
Just wait. I can't sing.
We were on toilets. So there must have been something
wrong. Toilets, and you'd paid for the flights. You'd paid for the. You paid for it.
No, it's gone at the minute. It was certainly something was there.
Something.
There's something down there. Don't know. I'm sure it'll come back to me. While we're down there, though, Burt Munro, The Fastest Indian, was one of my favourite films. That wasn't where I was going. I got totally lost with where I was going with that one. But Burt Munro said that 3 minutes on a motorbike was better than a lifetime for some people.
Really?
Getting up to whatever speeds he got on that Indian there, and that we went to Invercargill. I think that's where.
I heard you talk about that with somebody.
He was down there, and
you went to. Where is Invercargill?
Right down the bottom end.
Is it?
So on the South Island, it's right down here.
You were talking to Liz about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Liv.
Liv.
Yeah. She was from She was from the South Island. So
didn't she ask you, why would you ever want to go there?
what's there? They had a 6-7 story building there. It's nearly as high as the ones we got in Adelaide, you know. But it was such a good trip. It was such a good place. I got bitten from sandflies on the west coast, and it was just this beautiful beach. We'd been in the car all day, and it's fairly wet. And I got out I just wear those cut-off denim pants and a pair of thongs. You know, I'm just driving along and get out the car, and we're just walking down, not even looking at my legs, and we've only walked 100 metres. And I could feel something stinging, and I looked down, there was 100 flies on my leg.
Really?
So I was starting to bang him. And Mandy was still walking. I said, hey, Waddy, I've got to go back to the car. I've got all these things on my legs. And they weren't big. They were like bigger than a midgie mosquito we get here, but not even as big as our normal fly. By the time I got back to the car, I think I ran into a public toilet first to get whatever I could off, and then had still a 20-metre run to the car. By the time I got in the car, the footwell was full of them as well. So I'm trying to shoo these things out. 3 days later, I break out into these 5 mil high hives on my legs. And they're still here today.
Are they?
They're not as bad. They lost the itch, but the itch was about 12 out of 10. It was pretty nasty.
So they're a sandfly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've ever been bitten by one.
And
I'd know, wouldn't I?
And, you would know. I'll show you them in a minute. But, yeah, they're pretty nasty.
3 minutes. I wonder if he said 3 minutes because that's how long it took him to get to the end, you know, on the motorbike, the fastest Indian. He said 3 minutes on a motorbike. And I'm thinking like 1 minute on a Speedway bike. Seems like a long time. And it's only because I don't know if you watched the Speedway on Foxtel.
We used to go down
Prix.
to Virginia when we were younger.
Oh, yeah.
And just watch the Speedway go round and used to think those guys, look at those guys going. You know, you had a big front wheel and that back wheel just spun and the bike was at 60 degrees to the front wheel. And then once they planed up, you know, where you got that oval shape and then you had to bank again to get into the corner to get around.
Speedway Park was a difficult track to ride.
You did ride out that one?
I did ride there for a few years when they had bikes, and then the bikes ended at some point. But Speedway Park was difficult because it was clay predominantly. So with clay, it's gonna stick. So to break traction, it's not easy. But I liked it because it was a bigger track and it was easy for me. So I used to go better on the bigger tracks.
You did win a long one, didn't you? Long track?
A long track in Port Pirie. Yeah, that was, I think that's half mile. I think it's half mile. That was the state championship, state title, or state long track title.
What's that, 800 metres? What's a mile, 1.6?
Good question. Don't know. It's big enough.
Something like that.
It's shell grit on it's, I think, is that
That's
what you
what
call
they-
it? Shell grit on
That's what they chuck down to get the traction
the dirt.
with the knobbly? Or?
Yeah, well, I don't know, but it was, I used to put cardboard down the front of all of my leathers because just the being pitted by that when you're behind someone, horrible. But I love Port Pirie. Twice I think I rode there. They don't have it anymore. That closed down, and so there was.
They all had too much lead in them, did they?
Wow, I don't know. That's another story.
Yeah, I had a mate up there working, but you do got to watch your lead levels, otherwise it gets too high. It's pretty dangerous. So he had to get out of there in the end.
Did he?
There's too much lead in him.
Well,
Port Pirie for you.
Port Pirie. Where are we going next?
Well, I got stuck in New Zealand, didn't I? For a little while there.
You did. I was thinking that 1 minute on a Speedway bike, if I really think about how fun it is to do, it's got everything. It's got like the exhilaration, it's got complete uncertainty, and the adrenaline.
You do love speed, though, don't you? I've been out to 240 kilometres an hour in a Mercedes, and as you said before, that things start to slow down a little bit as you're going past because your peripheral's not picking up the full image of what's going through, and it's quite it's different. You know, you're starting to get a little bit lighter in your seat. You know, it's funny.
I thought 180 was fast.
But 240, like imagine going up to 300 and then breaking into a corner. And
some of these super bikes do 300 kilometres an hour. Wow. That's a whole different thing. I always thought I'd kill myself if I rode on the road, so I never did. I've got a road bike, but I don't ride that much. I actually feel like now I'm less likely of killing myself on the road. But when I was younger, I rarely rode on the road because of that daredevil aspect.
It's a bit like you saw my mountain bike out there. I don't mind mountain biking, but I'm not one to ride on the road. Same as with motorcycles. The law of averages are that a car's bigger than a motorbike.
Eventually you have a crash.
You will. You know, it's just a matter of time, whether you've done something wrong or not. 9 times out of 10, it's not the motorcyclist.
I've only had one on the road when I was 16. It wasn't big.
But I'm sure
minor.
I'm sure your folks were always concerned about you on a motorbike.
Oh, very much. Dad was my biggest fan, of course, but he never let on how nervous he was. It was only the last few years when we talked a lot more about that he let on how nervous he was. Mum was really nervous, and she wouldn't go all the time. But as a family, we used to go a lot with my sister, and we travel all around Adelaide. And well, there were three tracks, and there was Murray Bridge, Renmark, Wowler, North Arm, and then Mildura. That was the staple. And travel every weekend, generally, in summer. Good life.
Best
Loved it.
Best life.
Loved it. I had a story. I'm happy to die on the track. I don't know. That's like a proper racer, I think. Happy to die doing what you love.
You didn't really fear it, though, did you?
No, not really. Just later, I didn't really fear it. I wasn't afraid of crashing. It was later when in my late 20s, when I started to make myself nervous by just having a lot of crashes and having a lot of near misses. You know, a lot of minor breaks, you know, collarbones, wrists, ankle. Minor breaks,
and
really.
You look at most of the cyclists are very small.
You know, whereas
small guys, there's not much fat on them anyway.
You know, people get killed in Speedway. I was racing at a Speedway meeting we were talking at Speedway Park, and one of our riders, Kevin O'Connell, got killed out there. That was devastating. And lots of riders that I know, you know, there's always someone in hospital with a broken leg or broken pelvis or broken something, broken back. And I think later on I started to think more, okay, well, I've gotten away with so many crashes that I bounce well, dozens and dozens of crashes, that at one point there's a possibility my luck will run out.
I remember Wayne Gardner when he went to the V8 Supercars, and just prior to the last season or the season before, which was his last ride, I was paranoid. And I don't follow the bikes that much. I do follow the bikes, the F1s and all that they were racing back then. But I think that's the right word, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But I always thought, you know, like you look at Barry Sheen, the same sort of thing. Okay, he got sick. He got sick in the end and died. He didn't die on the motorbike. But I was worried about Wayne Gardner. I wanted him to quickly finish so that we could use him in the V8 supercars, you know. Like, And I remember him in one of the Coke cars, you know, back then. It must have been 99 at the Clipsal, you know, one year in there when they were racing. And when we saw him there, I thought, how cool is this to have a motorbiker, you know, in the V8 supercars. And, man, that was excellent. That was a good time, great time. What about your overseas travel? Can we touch on any of that?
Not Speedway related, or
what do you got left with your Speedway overseas? Oh yeah, we've got a story. We have got a story. Tell us this one.
We were talking earlier
Under 21 Australia team?
The funniest thing I've ever done, I think, in my life. Because I finished fourth in... Actually, I don't know. No, actually, it's a different thing. I did finish fourth in Australia title 1 year, but that was when I was 24, I think. When I was 20, I think I might have finished second in the state title. So I was like highly rated in Australia, where I was like the second best under 21. So that meant we qualified to go to a semi-final in Poland. And I was going to England anyway that year, so it was perfect. So all I had to do was get from England to Poland. And you'd think that wouldn't be that difficult.
Sounds scary to me.
But bear in mind, that was Poland in I've got to do my maths here. Was that 1983? Something like that.
Jesus.
Right? So Poland in 83 was communism, and it was full, like, you pull up to the checkpoint. So we left England and we went to Belgium, drove from there through to the... Got to go back a step.
All right.
Because you had to go through Germany. So I think I'm very lucky to have gone from East Germany.
What year you talking? 83.
83.
So the wall was still up?
Still up. So I went from West Germany, and then we got to the East German border. And that was a whole different thing. That was scary as hell, because as we pulled up, there was a whole line of people with all their boots up and everything pulled out of their cars, and there was like towers up above with the guys looking down. They had machine guns.
Your papers don't appear to be in order, Mr. Norton.
And it's like, we're just two of us. There was me and my mechanic, Peter Spink from England. And we drive up towards the checkpoint, and he looks at our papers, and we had a sporting visa, and he just waved us through.
Celebrity, bring it.
So we're in East Germany now, and the rules were, you're not allowed to move off the Autobahn. You're only allowed to go from here to the other side to the Polish border. So we disobeyed the rules.
Aussie.
We probably shouldn't have, but we pulled off. And we went into this little town, this little village, trying to find something to eat. God, do people look at us weird? But the thing besides being naughty and not following the rules, the Autobahn was a series of concrete blocks about as big as our little studio here.
Yep.
In a row. So the freeway it was clunk, 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 clunk. That was it. But we eventually got to the Polish border and when we got to Poland, we were going to a track called Chorzów. It's spelled Gorzow, but it's pronounced Chorzów, and that's where we were going. I still have no idea to this day why we
I'm going to look it up later.
Why we went to Katowice, which is like a track 8 hours the wrong way. So we got lost. We got lost, and we got to Katowice. We got to the track where we thought we were supposed to be going, and there's no one there. No one around, no one there. And there was just these 3 students that we saw on the side of the road, and we just ushered them to come over, and they couldn't speak Polish. We couldn't speak, Polish. They could. And it was that was one of the most humbling. There was a couple humbling experiences on the trip, and that was one of the most humbling ones, where they had nothing, but we were exhausted. We'd been driving for so long. We got there just on...
You were in a Ford, weren't you?
We were in a
Cortina?
Ford Cortina with my Speedway bike on the back, just on a rack. £300 Ford Cortina. It wasn't.
Lucky you 2 heavy guys in the front pulled it down.
It wasn't the most stylish car, trust me.
Keep going. Sorry, I don't want to lead you Australia.
It was
mate.
just coming dusk. We didn't have a lot of food. We hadn't eaten, and we had American dollars, so we could buy petrol. That was good. But these lovely 3 students took us up into their accommodation where they were staying, and as we walked up the stairs, we opened the door, and the door to their dorm was not very big. It was probably like 6 meters by 2 meters wide, 3 meters wide. That was it. And in it was a bed and a table, and on the table was a loaf of bread, and there was a saucepan, and it had a heating element in it. And they had some tea. And these beautiful people made us a cup of tea and gave us some bread, and that's all they had. And we were gracious enough. We gave them cigarettes. we had so many cigarettes. We got in Belgium, like for 20p. It might have been a 10p, but we were briefed prior to going to Belgium that the 10p is the same size as a Belgium, more expensive. So we got all these cigarettes for hardly nothing out of the machine. So we gave them cigarettes. And it was so good to give away cigarettes. We gave them American dollars and cigarettes, and they pointed us on our way. So we had another 7 hours to get back to my practice, which was the following morning. So we drove through the night to get back to where we were going. And on the way, on the I can't even say it. On the way, we're driving, and there's a train crossing, right? And it's going like there's a train crossing, and we're the first in line, right? We're the first in line. And I said to Peter, "Bloody hell, how long is this going to last?" It's like, oh God, and I just laid my seat back.
And you've hit the accelerator.
No, I just laid my seat back, and he'd laid his back, right? And we woke up. It's like a line of about 50 cars behind us.
You'd fallen asleep because you were so tired.
Beep, 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 beep.
Ding, 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 ding.
And the two of us have laid out fast asleep at the front of the line.
Move on, you stupid Aussie.
Oh my God, that was hilarious. We did get there.
You must have fallen asleep like that.
Oh, we were so exhausted, and we got to the track. Got there just in time for machine examination. I had an hour before the practice. And then we got through machine examination, and then on my first practice run, I was out with 3 other riders, because there were riders from all around the world who were here, like 2 from each country. And it was on my second lap of practice, there was a German rider that was behind me that climbed up the back of me and basically sent me flying on the track. And that was the end of my practice session. I ended up doing 1.5 laps. Ended up going to a Polish hospital, and it was quite primitive back then. I don't know what it's like now, but we went to the Polish hospital, and I basically got checked over everywhere because I thought I'd really hurt my back. I don't know if I'd broken my back. I knew I hadn't broken my back, but I really had hurt my back, and so I had x-rays and got checked over on my back. But I couldn't walk, so we were staying in a hotel, and I do hotel with air quotes. We were staying in a hotel not far from the track.
Sorry, mate, there was a bird, Mozzie. He might be coming towards you.
I can see it here. It's near the Bigfoot sticker.
You've got the spray there.
So they took me back to the hotel where we're staying. The hotel never had a lift, so these poor people, there were 4 of them, and they were stretchering me up the stairs to the 4th level where I was staying. It was that wasn't the thing that got me. It was like that night, a lady and her daughter came to my room, and she saw me she saw me practicing and saw that I'd crashed, found out where I was, and had baked me a cake and brought that to my hotel room. And like just that act of, kindness was like something, I was getting a little bit better by then. I could get out of bed even though I missed the big night. Like that night was like, it was the practice day, and then at night there was this big do and dinner and everything, and I'm in my hotel room laid up. But I did end up riding the next day because I went there, and if I didn't ride, I didn't get any money. So I went to the track, and it actually turned out that I'd broken my wrist, right? But I asked the doctors at the track if they'd put an injection in my wrist so I could get on the bike. So I lasted 2 races, and I pulled out. I think I finished second last with no points.
Was it the hang-on handle or the accelerator?
It was the left hand, yeah, the hang-on left hand. I couldn't hang on. I was buggered. And so that was my trip to Poland. We made it back okay. I got paid for second last place, which means I made some money. I got my travel money. I made some money. And we drove back relatively without any problems. Completely different to getting there. Yeah, it was amazing.
Was that the last of the big stories of the overseas stuff?
Yeah.
Have you got any more?
Not really. No, not really with overseas. Because that was the only time I really went to Poland and then rode in Europe. It's the only time. Whereas nowadays, a lot of the Aussies are riding in Sweden and Poland and Germany. They're riding all over the place. It's a bit different now.
Do you still follow it now?
Yeah.
Who's big in it now?
Well, there's a lot of young Aussies going really well in England, and there's
any South Aussies or
yes. I'm trying to think.
Doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter.
Well,
I'll put you on the spot.
No, there's a young. I know. I was thinking of Fraser Bowes. He's a young South Aussie. He's riding in the European leagues. I don't think he's riding in England. And there's a couple of there's the Grand Prix series that they ride around the world, and there's 2 Aussies that are 1 and 2 in the world at the moment. So yeah, I follow it.
No, that's pretty cool.
I had a lot of years off it. I had about 10 years off it where I didn't even bother with it. I didn't follow it at all, but I've come back to it again. Yeah.
Wow. And you've got a Harley in your driveway then?
I've got a Harley.
Was
in
that
the
your
driveway.
dad's?
That was my dad's bike.
Beautiful bike. I did have a look while I
Yeah.
was fitting some doors there the other day.
No, it's a beautiful bike. I'm happy to have that. It's like something I'll keep forever because he passed last September.
Oh, okay. It's only recent.
It's only recent, but I did get that off him about 7 years previous because he had a crash and broke his pelvis years ago, and then he stopped riding. He said, "That's it. I'm going to quit." And he did quit for quite a few years, maybe 5 years, and then he got back on the bike again. And he rode almost up to like maybe 6 months until he passed. Yeah, he always had bikes.
Sounds like it's always been in you and your father anyway.
Yeah, well, he loved bikes.
What a great bond that is. Look, I've got a daughter as well, and you've got a daughter as well. So,
Yes.
daughter.
Yeah.
So, I think there is, they say about the father and the daughter have a special one. It is also good one-on-one with a bloke when you can just, drop most of the package off and just talk man to man for a while.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, like I've had Reese back now for 2.5 weeks, and he's now gone up the Sunshine Coast with Debbie to start his next life up there. They met in Whistler and that, which is fantastic. All you ever hope is that your kids find somebody that they can love and have fun with and get the same back. It's there's no given.
Yeah.
Death and taxes are the only 2
I know.
given to you.
Yeah, well, I'm blessed. I think Brooke's really, really happy.
How old's Brooke now?
30.
Oh,
She's 30.
Wow.
And this is a story. She's with Rob Branford. Now, Rob Branford, he's a good bloke, a really good bloke. And his dad is Daryl Branford. Me and Daryl used to ride together against each other when I was in my 20s. So that's like, does that make you
How-
follow me?
How
It's
did
like Speedway daughter is now with
the
a
opposition
Speedway rider,
some?
because Rob's a very, very good rider himself, and he's not riding at the moment. I don't know if he'll ride again professionally. He might, but Rob's
What are you now? 60?
60.
Keep going on with Rob. I didn't want to cut you off. I was just trying to put a perspective on her at 30. God,
Yeah, she's 30, and
wow.
and she's with a Speedway rider. He's not just a Speedway rider. He's a good bloke, but it's funny how, you know.
So what's Rob doing? He's retired, I take it.
No, Rob's.
Oh, Rob's the
Yeah,
boyfriend.
Daryl.
Sorry.
Daryl's retired. Daryl's retired. He plays a lot of golf.
Do you play golf?
Yes.
Look behind you
I
there.
know, I
We got
know.
the white
What do we
Stingray.
got? I know.
White Stingray Classic. there.
We can digress to golf because last year when I was, if you want to digress to golf, we can. Last year there was a period before we started these townhouses where there was like waiting for approvals and getting it organised. So I spent about 6 to 9 months getting a lot of lessons and playing a lot of golf. And I had my wife's blessing. I said to Tanya, I said, I'm going to give this a crack, you know. I want to see how good I can get before I get too old. So it's kind of on hold at the moment, my golf. But
Did Ginger and Roxy approve of that? What
that's
about
my cats.
What about Arlo? Did Arlo have any sort of where's Dad?
No, he's just happy to see me when I come home. So yeah, golf's a thing that I'm going to spend more time when these townhouses are over, because I know that the best is yet to come for my golf.
Is there a partner, male or female, preferably male, that you can hook up with
How do you mean?
as a team event? It's a team event, that one.
Yeah. There's options there depending on whether.
And it doesn't have to be the same person.
No.
The shirts are there.
Yeah.
They're all printed, ready to go.
No, there's definitely people, 100%.
What we're trying to do, at the moment, we're playing annually with it.
Yeah.
And if we can sneak another one in, we try to. But everyone's so busy, you know, like there's 8 days in the week now. It's blown out to.
No reason why we can't get involved.
Would love to have, because the beauty is, even with the teams event, you can do the first 9 with one team and then automatically swap it over, because you're only fighting the card. You're trying to beat the card. Now, if you end up beating the card and you get the lowest score, well, you're just the winner.
Of course. You're only ever playing yourself. But, I mean, you love your golf. Do you love your golf or you play golf?
I play golf. Peter Renfrey, that I played baseball with, and we haven't touched on your baseball yet, as a kid at Goodwood, under 15s, wasn't
Yes, that's the thing in the past.
You did very well there too, best and fairest. But with the golf, Peter Renfrey plays social pennant, like he plays every, let's say 26 times a year or somewhere around that fraternity. So he's very good, but he's 60, what am I, 56, he'd be 66. He's just starting to get a bit of arthritis in his hands, but he can hit the ball, and I kid you not, 270 metres. He's a gun, and he doesn't stand any taller than you and me. But he's got like that, his fairway woods, man, they go, they go. And I just sit there in awe.
Yeah.
And Phil Hirschhausen as well, one of the other guys I play. To see these guys play golf at the level, I sit there and go, whoa. Locke, my brother, he's another one that's quite good. But to see Pete and Phil, they are that level again that's above that. And then we met a guy the other day. Pete didn't hit 270. He might hit 230. There was a guy the other day, Pete and I had a game of golf only 3 weeks ago. And there was a guy that came up behind us, a single guy, and he had a handicap of, if I said 7, he teed this ball off and it went 300 metres and hit the tree at still the same height that we would in a 100-metre hit.
Yeah.
And even Pete goes, oh, my God, have a look where that guy hit. And he just chipped on. He chipped on.
Yeah.
Like, we've still got another 2 shots.
I know. Well, I'm lucky enough to have played a couple of Pro-Ams last year and the year before. So we played with Andre Stoltz.
I would love you to get involved in that one.
Do you know Andre Stoltz?
No.
No, you might not. He's just turned 50. But he won on the European Tour when he was younger. We played with him. That was bloody good.
Is he magnificent to watch?
Just his 3 woods. Just. No, he was good. We played in some Pro-Ams. We spent a lot of time playing golf. We went to King Island. We went to Barnbougle in Tasmania.
The King Island's Tasmania, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
We went to Murray Downs. We went to some really good courses when we were having my golf time.
Wow, how good's that?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I love the stories about that. We could go for 3 hours on the golf, I reckon.
We'll have to have a repeat. We'll have to have a part 2 for the golf stories.
I reckon. But the golf's good fun. The golf's
good fun.
Easy. It takes 5 hours. It's not a big day killer. You know, you can go early and still come back and do a podcast afterwards. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we'll do that, and we'll do that again in the future. But wow, no, you've spent some time on that. I like that. It's game on. Like, it's pretty serious.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's a buddy system, everyone's chatting away and having fun.
Well, I think I like the grind. See, a lot of people like playing. I like practicing more than playing. You have to play because you practice and see how you go. It's like putting it out there. But I love the grind. I would love to,
good discipline.
Well, if I could design my Fridays, and all my Thursdays, which I used to, like last year, I used to go and hit balls for a couple of hours. Then I'd get a lesson. Then I'd hit another balls for a couple of hours, and then I'd go and play.
Love it.
That's my ideal day. Like, I'm in heaven.
That's right. I thought I heard
Not an airplane. Not yet. Nothing's come over here yet.
The wind might be the wrong way. They might be landing over the sea.
So yes, we'll do golf, but that golf's on hold a little bit at the moment.
Let's jump to New York. I want to hear your stories of Manhattan.
Well, we went to...
What year?
Maybe 10 years ago.
2014.
It was...
What'd you go to New York for?
I was in Toastmasters. Do you know Toastmasters? It's a public speaking club.
Okay. Are you good at public speaking, or?
Well, I'm better than I was. When I started, I wasn't that good.
How do you push
Very
the
nervous.
nerve down? Just drop the octane a little bit?
Practice. I don't practice. Well, it helps when you completely suck at a Toastmasters event and you realise it can't get any worse. Because I did Toastmasters for 4 or 5 years, and it's an opportunity to practice public speaking. And once a year they have tournaments, not tournaments, they have competitions. And if you get through your club, then you go to the next level, and then you get the next level, and then maybe the next level state, and the next levels. Well, I got to the second. I won the club, and then I went to the next level. And I got to the next level, and there's probably like 40 or 50 people in the room. A lot of people come. And I was trying to do third person. Like, I was trying to be me, and then I would switch to the other person. I was trying to be fancy, and I completely ballsed it up, and I sucked. And I was frying. You know when you, like, I was dying on stage. And, like, I couldn't wait to get off there. So that was probably the moment that you have when you realise it can't get any worse than this. So it didn't matter.
What made you put yourself in so much of a stressful position?
I wanted to be more confident.
Okay, public split. I got a mate, Paul Bastian, who I did a lot of Australian embassies with an Australian South Australian company here that we made all the doors for. He is very good at public speaking.
Yeah, there's an art in it.
Very, very good. You know, he speaks well. He doesn't get fumbled. He doesn't. you know, if you forget, like I had my little chirp in New Zealand where I forgot where I was going, he'd probably be able to get out of that quite easily, and yourself.
Well, you can when you know the tricks. Like when I hear people talk, like I don't use any ums and ahs.
Do I use many ums and ahs?
I don't think you do, but you know that when you know that, because we're taught that in Toastmasters.
I didn't know that.
We get feedback on that. Every time you talk, you get feedback. Every single time you get feedback. And ums and ahs are one of those things that are no-nos. So I don't use any ums and ahs, and I can hear it in so many people now. When you hear it, you can't unhear it. It's so annoying. So I said to a friend of mine, Roger, I actually did side story. When I was disillusioned with building, I went and did a life coaching course in Melbourne. I wanted to be a life coach, which I did for 6 months, but I never made enough money, so I went back to building. So that's another story. I met Roger who was doing a life coaching course as well, and he was in Perth, and he was also doing Toastmasters. And I just flippantly said to Roger, I said, if you win the state championships and get to go to the world championships in Toastmasters, not thinking you'd ever make it there, I'll go with you. So guess what? He rings me up and said, Ash, guess what? I just won the state championships. So I'm not one to not keep my word. So I said, okay, when are we going? So we both went to New York. We both went to, where was it? It was in Washington. Yeah, it was in Washington. We both went to Washington for the World Championship of Toastmasters. That's how I got there. And from that, I went to Washington, and then I went to New York because I always wanted to go to New York.
Did you go to Central Park?
I did. I think I went to all the main.
Was it winter or autumn, summer?
That was nice. It was sunny. Yeah, it was sunny. We stayed in Washington. It was bloody scary as hell. We stayed in an Airbnb downstairs in the basement. The lovely people up top warned us. It's not, it's a black neighborhood, right? It's just be aware of where you're walking around. So I just thought I'd go for a walk around. Bloody hell, I know. There was probably no problem. But
2014, is that right?
Yeah.
That date's probably pretty good. If it was 2084, might have been a bit more difficult for you. We stayed in East Harlem on 53rd Street or something like that, because it still continues up, from Central Park. If you've got the 60th Street where all those tall buildings are, you got Essex House and all that, and then you've got Central Park heading towards the Bronx there. Yeah. We were sort of halfway down on the East River side there, and you'd have all the ladder companies, you'd have all the, all night you'd listen to the emergency services going off for fires or whatever.
There was always something. Ambulances, police sirens, fires.
Great place. You got on the underground there?
Yeah, we went on the underground. Can't remember where we went.
42nd Street?
No idea. We went to, what's the Madison Square Garden?
Madison Square Garden?
We went to there.
What did you see in there?
We didn't see any. There was nothing on.
Did a tour?
Then we just went there.
Great place.
Went and saw the...
They have a solid block of ice that never gets unfrozen. And then if they've got basketball, of a concert, or Billy Joel plays there quite a lot. Mm-hmm. But that flooring, let's say the flooring 600 deep, the ice for the ice hockey never unfreezes. It's always there. Right. And then they obviously just pack up to whatever function is on. I didn't know that. Unbelievable. You go outside for after the game or after the tour, and you get a piece of pizza for $5 and a Coke.
Yeah, that's right.
It's incredible. You go in there and you get I think Reese, Mandy and I shared a cup that was about that big, which is, people that can't see it, probably about 40 millimetres high. Mm-hmm. They had to wait a minute 45 before they could refill it. Wow. There's some big people in America.
That's huge.
Big people.
So, I spent 10 days there.
Did you go to Brooklyn? go over the bridge?
Yes, I had a waffle.
Did you walk
under
it?
the bridge? Yes, I did walk it.
You look at the artwork at the
Yep.
beginning and at the end.
It was good. I enjoyed that. All the main I liked. It's going to come to me in a minute. There was a place down. No, I can't think of it. Where's a lot of, like not a nightclub, but like a really chilled Greenwich Village.
Yes, that's off.
Loved Greenwich.
That's
Village.
on the Hudson side.
Yeah, really enjoyed hanging out there.
Nice.
Yeah, went to a baseball game and I went to a gridiron game. Football, isn't it? I'm getting confused. What?
I think you're in Washington once again.
Yeah, back to Washington. Yeah,
Yeah.
I went to the Washington Redskins.
We went out to MetLife Stadium. We saw the New York Jets play the Buffalo Bills or whatever, and that was out into. I'm going to forget it now as well. What the county is, but once again, you go under the Hudson River and you head out south or whatever it is. But there's so much on there. There's so many areas of it. I think they call it the 5 boroughs or whatever. But just to see the Hudson River at night time and go on a boat cruise there and look back at.
Was it Trump Tower or one of those towers? We went up right to the top.
Could have.
I don't know where I am. Where's Trump Tower?
No, I don't know. There's a million towers there. And I think they've got a whole load now building again.
Good fun. Only time I've been to America. It's the only place I've been is Washington and New York.
But good to see. It is. It's one of those places. If you're into sports and you're into, it's good for that. We did the New Year's Eve bull drop in New York.
Really?
And that was disgusting. Like you can't pee anywhere. Like after about 2:00 in the afternoon, you really got to shut your urinary system off right through to about 11 o'clock at night. So what they do is they shut down 5th Avenue, 7th Avenue, 9th Avenue, and they run people up and down that, and then they block it off. They have men with machine guns and everything else. And then, by the midnight drop, you run out of your wherever you are because you're at a function somewhere. So what they do is they close every second street off. So you're on that function and they'll run you in the street before and pull you in there. So they shut down every avenue because New York's just a grid.
Yeah.
It's just avenues and streets. And it's horrible.
So would you recommend going to New York
Not
New Year's?
No way.
No.
I'm glad we did it to see how bad it was because they said it was really bad. Don't do it.
Okay.
And we did it. And then there was every avenue, you've got a line of people and a line of people, and they're wanting to get into their street venue. So every 100 metres, you got another line trying to get into the next street. And then you got the people that are just walking up and down the avenue.
So it's not like a normal time when we were
That
there.
was
You
terrible.
can walk anywhere.
And it was -2 degrees,
Yeah,
and
it's
it was
freezing.
wet.
Yeah.
So in the end, I said to Reese, I'm just going to piss my pants. I'm not even going to hang on anymore. But to mentally piss your pants is difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard enough.
What do I do? Down the left feet or the right feet? Oh,
You need a bottle. You need to take a bottle with you.
I don't know. But, and it was cold. And then for the rest of the night, you'd walk and go. So I think the left boot got left at Florida somewhere.
Would have started off warm.
It was warm till it got cold. Where else you been overseas?
Well, when I was speedway racing, I used to stop on the way to Singapore.
Singapore's good.
Went to
Singapore's
Singapore.
clean, nice.
I went to
You were there
Phuket.
a lot earlier than me.
a lot earlier, Phuket, Singapore, and then later in life, I went to Nepal trekking. We didn't go the base camp route. We went to Gokyo-ri, which is same height.
What's the elevation?
I'm guessing
Pretty high.
5,500, is it, or more? We went to Gokyo-ri, which is the same height as base camp, but who we went with, he said, go this way. It's less people. Everyone's trying to go to base camp. go this way. It's less people. It's not as busy, and you can get a really good view of Mount Everest from Gokyo Ri.
Wow,
So
that's fantastic.
it was -15 at -15 at Gokyo Ri, and my feet were so cold. We had an open fire inside the little hut we were staying in, and I found that my feet were colder inside my boots than outside. So -15, I took my shoes off, and I just had my feet warming up there. So that's pretty much one of the highlights of my life, going to Nepal and trekking in Nepal and having that experience of what it's like to do, have the experience of altitude adjustment, I suppose, because at one point when you're trekking in such high altitude, my heart rate was like 180 beats a minute, and I was just sort of walking slowly, one step at a time, up, and even though it was technically easy walking, it's amazing how the lack of, I don't know if it's white blood cells or which one it is, but just the whole lack of oxygen at that height was pretty amazing. And to have to be lucky enough to have that experience. A lot of the times when I've gone on holiday, it's to do with just who I've met and circumstances. Like the only reason I got to go to Nepal was that my Tyler at the time, Michael Darlington, when I was working for Oakford Homes, he used to go to Nepal every year, and he said, "I'm going to Nepal. Do you want to come?" And he organised for like 5 or 6 of us to come to Nepal with him. And that was such an amazing experience to go with him. So I love Nepal. I absolutely love Nepal. I love India. I've only been to India once, but India was so much of a cultural... It wasn't really a shock. It was more... that was also purposeful while we went to India, because very good friends of mine were involved with a meditation and ashram, spiritual sort of centre, and they were going to India, and they invited me. We sort of went. There were like just the 3 of us that went there. We spent a whole week in northern India in a temple.
I was surprised with India how high north of India is.
Yeah.
We had an Uber driver home just a few months ago, and he was from India, and said he was from the north. And you imagine India being hot.
Yeah.
Lots of people on trains and
Extremely hot.
busy. You don't sort of see India as a real cold place, but you're starting to get into that high region as you start to head north.
Yeah, we're only an hour north of Mumbai, and so there's a long way to go further north. We're an hour up north, and such a great experience. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved going to India. Yeah, going to go back.
We did a walk at Mount Cook in New Zealand, which is the highest mountain there. And I was surprised, and I did say to Mandy because it was a fair drive to get there. And when you arrive, you've just got all the cars, and you've got very built-up roads where the edge of the road drops off dramatically, I assume, with the amount of water that flows up and down everywhere there. And I said, Mandy, this is like base camp, like this is really got something about it. And you had every nationality there hiking to get up to this
summit
dam. We didn't even get any of the elevation. We didn't climb anything. But it was about an hour and 20 minutes out from base camp, and it was the closest thing to Nepal. And I kept saying to Mandy, this is serious. If you fall over and hurt yourself an hour and 10 minutes out, you've got to get back an hour and 10 minutes. And I said to her, because she's a lot smaller and fitter than I am, and I said, don't wait for me, you just keep walking. And you had to go up. The topography was pretty heavy. It was only probably a medium walk, but to go over the string bridges, there were 2 or 3 of them you had to get over. And then you did get onto some boardwalks that took you almost to where the dam was up the top there that had floating icebergs in it. So it was pretty high. So I said, and I could only do hand language to her. I said, at 3 o'clock stop, we've got to go back. However far we've gone, and, you know, I was pretty close on it. And I think what she'd read was just keep going until you see the icebergs, which she did, which was fantastic because I didn't get there. I was still 13 minutes back this side from her.
Right.
And then I waited 10 minutes and I still didn't know where she was. I thought, oh, God. You know, I said 3 o'clock turnaround, we got to go back. And I waited, and I thought, all right, well, I'll go because you're obviously somewhere up there, which was still too far. But I thought I'd said to her, 3 o'clock turnaround, got to go back. So I walked back the other way, and so it was still an hour and 12 minutes going back the other way. Big rocky pebbles. It was a fairly medium walk.
Yeah.
By the time I got back there, she'd done another little route to have a look at all the people that had died doing that walk.
Right.
And there's like a what do you call it?
A shrine.
Shrine.
Yeah.
It's got all the dead people's names on it. There's heaps of them.
Yeah.
And this is only at Mount Cook.
Yeah.
So you think of all the people still on Mount Everest that are still there.
A lot of people get sick on the way. Like we had a very planned trekking journey, so we didn't get sick. But there was lots of helicopters because the helicopters would take you back when you got really sick from walking too much. You could walk for a day, real hard walk for a day, rest for a day. Real hard walk, rest. Real hard walk, rest.
Did you get any sickness? No. You got nothing?
Nothing.
So how high were you?
I'd have to Google it.
Reese and I got to 10,000 feet in Lake Tahoe. We got up 10,000 feet and we...
Oxygen deprivation, like...
hit us at the same time. I said, do you feel sick? And he said, yeah.
Yeah,
We lined our gut with milk in a Mars bar and it went away instantly like that. So the gut's obviously connected to the ear because it went away. It was gone like that. We didn't even feel. We just put the skis and the snowboarder on and off we went. And that's only at 10,000 feet. What's Everest, 28,000?
I don't know.
Pretty sure. I think it's 28,000 feet.
We'll check fact later.
Which would be 9, 18, 27.
Well, base
which
camp...
would be 9 kilometres high.
Base camp is where the height I was at. That was high. That was good. Such an experience to be there. That's like ticking off.
Yeah, that's
ticking
a big
off.
one. That's a big one.
Like if I had things to tick off, it would be that. It would be Zimbabwe. What's the big waterfall there? No.
In South Africa?
South Africa. I can't think of it. But I've been there. That was fun. Really enjoyed that. See, it'll come to me later.
When did you do Africa?
25 years ago. I went over for a friend's wedding. A good friend of mine, Neil, went for his wedding. And then I spent a couple of weeks backpacking. Went to Zambia, Zimbabwe, Victoria Falls. Is that it?
I reckon that one sounds pretty good.
The noise of Victoria Falls is worth being there alone. The deafening, it's so loud.
It's a lot of volume of water. Think how heavy it is.
And like I went to Zambia, and like that was an experience to go to a Zambia village and like full of huts. Quite, you would think primitive and remote, and got invited into this little hut. On the wall there's this big flat screen TV.
Are you kidding me?
Flat screen TV. Unreal. Would never even thought of that. But went there and then went to Lesotho.
What fixings are they using into a straw hut?
I have no idea how they had fixings in that. Seriously, it was like a hut.
It was a straw, mate.
It was like it was like a hut that's about as big as our room here. That's a whole nother story. South Africa and the experience of being there, because that was when it was quite scary to go to South Africa.
With the apartheid, with the white.
3 policemen got shot a day. That's a lot.
Wow.
You wouldn't want to join that. It's not a good job.
No, that's
good
incredible.
career. But we went to a little country called Lesotho. Now, not many people would even know that there is a country called Lesotho. It's landlocked in South Africa. And the only way you can get there is to go up the Sani Pass, which is like a windy mountain road that's about as width of one car, way up to the top. And the people I was staying with said, whatever you do, don't get in a black taxi to go up to the top of Lesotho, up the Sani Pass. Don't get in a black taxi.
So you did.
So I got in a black taxi.
Jeez.
Which means it's an illegal ride because they go over the edge, and their brakes fail. But anyway, I got up to the top. That was like the reason I went there because I saw it on telly, like one of them travel shows, and it was like the seventh most remote place in the world. It was like the land or the country that time forgot kind of thing. Everything was like completely slow. Like if a shearer wanted to shear his sheep, he would spend 2 days traveling to get to the person that shears his sheep. That kind of thing. Very slow. And we went up there and spent a couple of days up there. We stayed in a hut with a family and we ate with our fingers off of a little plate. And amazing. Loved it. I love going places that are not Western civilized, I think, as much. Just to see the cultural diversity. Good fun. Wonderful.
I think there's a whole load of different world out there. If you lived and died in Adelaide, you would have missed out on so much.
A lot, yeah.
Now, what a wonderful place it is to live here, but it's nothing like the rest of the world. It's, I think there's a lot of smart here. There's a lot of, especially in the building industry, you get a lot of people that get anal about stuff that's irrelevant.
They've probably never been anywhere.
That's right. And they're stuck in Adelaide ways,
right.
And you just think, oh my God, how can we get at this level? But there's so much out there, like to go to South Africa, to go down to Cape Horn, down the bottom there, and like you're at the bottom of that. We've got to go to the Antarctica. That's where all the good's going on.
Yeah.
And nobody knows about it. So we've got to get down there.
Well, I just finished an audio book about that.
It's hard to get there, but we need to get down there.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I haven't got a lot of things on my bucket list. I did want to trek in. Is it the Sani Pass? No, I don't know. Doesn't matter.
Could be.
What's the great ruins in? I can't think of it. I haven't got much that I really want to go to. I'm quite content.
Have you been to New Zealand?
No, not yet.
Go down the South Island and have a look.
Yeah. My wife wants to go there. She's planning a trip.
For how compact it is, we did 3,000 Ks there. We did 2,500 Ks in Canada because we did the Icefields highway up there. And that was beautiful, brilliant. Lots of lakes, lots of everything,
Machu Picchu.
Okay.
That's it. It dropped in. That's the one. So, yeah. Could I ski in New Zealand?
Of course you can.
On a long run? Because I've seen it in Italy. I want to ski for 5 minutes. I've seen them ski in Italy for 5 minutes. I reckon that would be amazing. Because I've been over here in Hotham and Falls Creek and 20 seconds, it's gone.
Look, you'd have to go to Thredbo to get probably...
We went to Thredbo once.
Did you ski top to bottom on that?
Yeah, that was good.
Did that take 3 minutes?
I don't know how long, but it was a good run. I really enjoyed that.
It was probably,
That's why we went to Thredbo, because we wanted longer runs after going to Hotham and Falls Creek. We made the extra trip to Thredbo.
Lutterhutton or whatever it's called, and the ones in Switzerland there where you go up and over and you go into Italy for the after lunch and then come back. I think you've got to get 5 gondolas to do it, but you're out of Switzerland into Italy in the same day. That's what you want to do.
That'd be fun.
If you look at Lake Tahoe, we skied that one. That one had. Oh, that one had. There'll be something on the wall. There'll be a ski ticket somewhere. Might even be behind you there.
Was that a long run?
That was a long run. That was a long run. That went for a long while. Sierra Resort, that wasn't as long. But excuse me, Whistler and Blackcomb, where Reese was working, we did some runs there, and they were long runs. And I'd COVID there, so I had pains in my legs, and it was quite awkward. But they were long runs. They were good long runs. But you've really got to go to Switzerland, I reckon, in those areas to get the long ones. Keep looking.
Well, that's
Excuse me.
it's infectious now. I'm coughing. Must be this water you've given me that's got something in it. I'm on the black label water.
Good.
Yeah, the long run, that's just an idea. If I don't make it, it's not going to be a problem, but just an idea of a long run somewhere. Maybe Japan has long runs, I don't know.
I think Japan's not as high as everywhere else, but they got good powder.
Soft.
Yeah, I think so. But I know Reese is trying to get back there by Christmas time. Excuse me.
Maybe my daughter will come with me.
That'd be nice.
We're going to try and do a dad and daughter thing every year. We just went to Ultra Australia. Do you know Ultra Australia?
No, I don't.
Flemington Racecourse. We went
Melbourne.
a month ago.
Excuse me.
It's a dance festival.
Dance.
You know, like I don't know what techno
Music.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what you call it nowadays. Doof doof. We went together there. It was 60,000 people. It's good fun. Just me and her.
So it was a 60-30 dance.
It was 60-30 dance. We sat down and we were talking to a couple of these guys that were there just having lunch. We're having lunch and they were just asking me questions. And I said, I'm with my daughter. She's over there and going to the toilets. And she said, how come she dragged you to here? How come she dragged you out here? And I said, no, it was my idea. I asked her to come. So I always had the idea, Arnhem Van Buren. I don't know if you know him, but he's really big in the dance world. And I've listened to him for 20 years or so, on and off. And I always had in my mind, one day I wouldn't mind seeing him. And he was playing in Melbourne, so it's good fun.
Melbourne's one of those good cities just to go and visit for a few days.
We just had a couple of days. Flew in Saturday morning, flew out Sunday afternoon.
Yeah,
Quick,
that's
short and sharp.
Yeah, we went and saw Billy Joel there play, and that was excellent. He was still
that would be good
doing his ivory
thing.
Yeah, he was
doing
still ebony and ivory, and he was charming, and he was still, for his age now, he must be getting on.
Must be 70 plus, is he?
But he was still doing it. It was pretty cool. And I hadn't been to the G before. Mandy follows the AFL. I'm a Yankees man, so
you like your baseball?
Yeah, baseball. Baseball's pretty cool. Yeah, doesn't go very long. That's what I like about it.
I know.
You got 2 hours. You're done and one.
It's different in America. They stand. Why do they stand up every pitch or every something? Do you remember when you were there? Everyone had to stand up and then sit down. No, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. They were doing this ritual thing that we all just did with them. I don't know what it was about.
No, me neither. But but it's good fun. It's good to get over there. It's good to see, like, if you can get away every year, like you're saying, you're going to do something with your daughter. We've now got England on our plate, and now we've got the Sunshine Coast, so we've got a new place we can tick off to in Australia pretty quickly. But I think I'll spend quite a bit of the rest of my life going to New Zealand to ski. You can go to Queenstown here in 5 hours from Adelaide, and you can be skiing in 6.
Okay.
So it's pretty good, pretty quick.
Definitely.
Over the ditch.
I'll think of that for sure.
Excuse me, but it was that place was so much better than what I thought it was even going to be. It really does punch you above its weight. It's a good place. If you get the chance to take a couple of weeks and drive around that South Island, just watch for the flies.
Watch for the sand flies.
But
I'll be prepared.
So where do we go from here, Ash? We've got what comes next? You've got finished this big contract off by the end of the tax year.
Yep. Finish the big contract, and then, well, I would hope that I've finished the renovations at my house. You've been to my house. You've seen we've got some stuff going on there.
Do you need a trip? I think you need a trip to get away and just...
Yeah, I've got ideas in my mind. We are going to see Coldplay in October in Melbourne. That's a little trip away.
I reckon my daughter was in New York or Pennsylvania, and she went on a girls' trip down to Florida to see Coldplay. And as a dad, I'm sitting there thinking 5 girls in a car driving down from Pennsylvania down to Florida. And they said it was the best thing they'd ever done.
I bet. It'd be fun.
My daughter left here when she was 17 to do, she was into gymnastics. And even in Australia, it's a very good discipline for the girls. They are hard. You know, like you look at the Romanians and all that, you know, you will be successful, you know.
Yes.
It's a very hard individual discipline, even though you're in a team's event.
Yeah, it's brutal.
But the girls are very, very, by the time they get older, they are so clear and focused because they've had that discipline forever. And when she flew out of here the first time, 2017, to do she was into aerobic after she broke her arm and dislocated it, or whatever she did on the second time. She'd gone into this teams event and they'd gone overseas somewhere in Europe. And I think they'd come 6th in the world, which was pretty good for a team that had only been together for 3 months. Out of 9 countries or 8 countries. They, you know, they certainly weren't at the top. It was team aerobics or something like that. But she's been really gone for, I think she's nearly 27 now. She's really been gone for a decade. And she's been around the planet twice.
Wow.
She's done most of Europe.
Lived her life.
Lived in New York. She lived in Connecticut. She's been a nanny in New York.
Yeah.
She walked around New York like it was hers, you know, and it was mine, darling.
She's lived her life. So, yeah, beyond building, I really want to do something. I'm not exactly sure how to reinvent myself, but I want to do something that I'm helping people with in community by mental health or with a men's group, or because I struggled a lot when I was younger with my own anxiety and mental health that no one really knew about. Suffered in silence, spent a lot of years overcoming and working hard at being an optimist. I really want to do something to help. I'm not exactly sure yet, but it's something's dropping in. Yeah, really passionate about.
It'll find its path.
It will.
It'll find its path. I didn't want to go too heavy in that one tonight. We
don't have.
I've lost a good mate, Scotty Miller, that was part of the 2 drunk aliens there, and we're still dealing with the fallout now, I suppose. Even from Christmas, you know, or just after Australia Day. So that was January.
We lost a good mate a week ago.
Really, another one
in Tasmania. He's only early 40s.
Wow.
So it's close.
And it's real.
It's real. I didn't even talk about my mate Joe, who hung himself the day after we spent the night together. That's a long time ago. Joe, my tiler. He was my tiler at Galaxy. And anyway, yeah, it's close. So I'm really passionate to do something down the track.
That's pretty real. You're a good mentor for it. I think that you're the man to offer his wisdom to people
Just need
that are
to get myself organised.
And the fact that you've been through a lot of it yourself,
yes,
gives you the tools to, you know, to identify and say, hey, mate, you're struggling, aren't you? Yes. Well, don't do it alone. You know, there's people you can talk to and whatever. But it can get heavy and, that's for another time as well.
That's another time.
We'll keep this one happy, but...
no, it's been fun.
But I'm sure this phone's doing whatever it wants.
No, it's been fun. It's been good to have a chat, and we've covered a bit.
Yeah, look,
we've been around the place.
The beauty is we can do it again as well. I think what's great is that we've had the opportunity tonight to
we're breaking the ice,
hook up and say, hey, we're here, and the two Ashes are together. And Ash Norton, let's call the buzzer on this one tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ash.
It's been a pleasure hearing your journey, and
thank you, Ash. I appreciate it.
Keep getting better and better, and it's you learn so much by face-to-face talking, and you get a lot out of it both ways, and once again you start to respect even more that you've heard more and more, and you can actually it makes it even easier to be a friend. So thank you for being a friend of me, and
thank you.
Back to you, and we'll talk again soon.
Cheers, Ash. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ash Norton.
Thank you.